Oh my gosh, we are back for like the 100th time. Folks. I have been building, doing so much stuff. Cap and Share got Bodex. Yeah, and today we are going to start crafting VCEL. I've actually even tackled it a bit on this channel, I think before. I just like was too scared to upload the videos. Um, but guys, I'm gonna chat about it. I also got a dog too. He's the cutest dog in the world. He's asleep right now under the desk. He's 100% golden retriever. As I pull up a video, I'm gonna of my dog. His name is Waffles. He's the cutest little pupper. Look at that cutie pie. Look at that cutie pie. But yeah, so he's perfect, number one. But number two, we're gonna start building VCEL, and I'm just gonna do it very kind of like quick and dirty, I'd say, with you guys. So I've got ChatGPT for sure, and we are just gonna spin up a Next.js backend and use Postman, and yeah, just get moving. To be honest, folks, like I'm trying to build VCEL, and what VCEL is, to be honest with you guys, is it stands for voluntary celibacy. I can't remember if I even put it on my channel or not. Program with PAGs, VCEL or not. I don't even know if I did. I don't think I did. Um, but okay, so let's just talk about what it is. And I've got an interview with a guy here shortly. Yeah, I don't even have VCEL. So it's VCEL. That's what it is. VCEL. It's a term that I'm starting. I didn't know it was a NASDAQ term, but there it is. But it's a term that I am starting, and let's talk about the idea a bit, and then we'll get into some of the code, a bit of the vibe coding, if you will. But yeah, so VCEL is this idea called voluntarily celibate, and in today's world, especially in the West, like the West is terrible. The West is like the opposite of that. It's like anti voluntarily celibacy, and like just chaos out here, right? Like people are out here, hooking up with 15 guys on a weekend, 15 girls on a weekend. Like it's just trashy. You know what I mean? At best case. And I recently went to UAE, and I loved UAE. It was very clean. Now there were some natural differences, I think with UAE versus the States, but there was this sense of baseline respect and like decency, like human decency definitely still exists there for sure, 100%. Like people respect authority, people respect each other. Like there's still a sense of like just dignity there, if you will. And this term VCEL, I think their culture would thoroughly enjoy this, but the term VCEL is something I've actually lived by, and what it is voluntarily celibacy. So what I'm saying by that is like as I'm just spinning up some API folders real quick, some basic V1 API, if you will. Okay, so let's just start with the test TSX file. But but it's this idea that I've lived by in my life where basically, guys, right now I'm pulling some APIs from old project here that I am going to model and steal. Let's see, bone. Okay, let's see, bone. All right, that'll do. Actually, that won't do. That's not the right API. I'll go to my GitHub and get the right API. But it's this idea where if you're sexually disciplined, you're gonna have a good life. Like if you're able to delay gratification, you're gonna have a good life. Like the Think and Grow Rich talks about it. Think and Grow Rich, I think it's chapter 12 or 13. Subconscious mind. No, no, but it's by Napoleon Hill, and he talks about sexual transmutation, right? Sexual energy, right? Chapter 11 is what it is. So the mystery of sex transmutation. It's this idea that if you take your sexual energy, instead of like spending it on yourself, if you will, or like on like people all the time, 24/7. I'm not saying don't ever not enjoy this part of life, but like do it with discipline. Do it with like this idea of you have dominion of it. Like, but you have people, and even when I was much younger, like it would be like an everyday type situation, or every weekend I would need a girl or something or whatever. And it's like you should hit a point where you can go like weeks or months and feel fulfilled and like build your life and be able to build life, because that's like your number one energy as a person. Like that's your chi, you know. Boxers talk about it a lot. They're like, "Oh, I won't do anything 6 weeks before a fight, so then I can kind of just have that edge." Waffles is freaking cutie pie, uh, but yeah, so and a lot of billionaires talk about it. A lot of successful people actually talk about it, or they practiced it without maybe disclosing it to the public. Like very renowned professionals and people who are currently in history books, or like very recent people. Um, so it's something that I think the world just kind of needs to be like educated a bit on, or at least just um, informed slightly of like, hey, at least make the decision if you want. But when people ask, like, man, how do you get lucky breaks, or how do you get like that X factor, or that thing where you're just getting like, just a little bit of ahead of people and stuff? It's like it's honestly a lot to do with this of like uh of sexual discipline, like being completely honest. So, guys, I'm just stealing a API from an old project real quick. Let's see, around middleware, Prisma, we're going to need that. Middleware, I'm actually going to need that as well. So I'm just pulling code over. It's stealing code. That's what the pros do, folks. If you ain't stealing code, you ain't working. But yeah, so I've really wanted to tackle this. I've actually been made fun of by a lot of friends of mine, like wanting to build this software and stuff. But in my mind, it was always like you should want to like want to be disciplined. Yeah, like you should want to like not uh participate in hedonism, right? So guys, what I'm doing here with this code, this is a X API key. So any API endpoint that the front end will be pinging, or whatever front end system we end up using, it'll need an X API key to make it at least a little bit more secure. And then cores as well. But yeah, so I've been kind of preaching it for some years, and I've gotten some like flack back for sure from friends and stuff. But and then other buddies of mine who are at least like recently successful too. They're like, oh no, like dude, thank you so much for teaching me some of that stuff, or I've integrated a bit of that in my life, and they seem to have good results, or they relate. They're like, every time I do it, like I can't explain, but when I've been disciplined for some time, it just feels like I'm gonna get rid of this create log middleware for a bit. We're not gonna do logging this way. Uh, but so all this, let me explain a little bit of the code too while I'm explaining this concept of VCEL. So this code here, this is just middleware. These three files. So this API key is going to require a API key from any system. So whether we use Postman, whether we use a front end that we build, the back end is going to exist by design. It's going to exist one abstraction away from the public facing stuff. Uh, and you can even do two abstractions away and do a jump box and things like that. But this will be fine for like MVP and just spinning something up. Um, Cores is just allowing, so when I launch this thing on Vercel or a live URL, I can at least do some cross-origin resource sharing, and I'm just allowing all headers. But to be more secure, I would specifically do the specific URL that my server is on, or my front end is on, would be just to ensure a little bit more. But right now it's fine. We'll just spin something up, not too concerned, and then run middleware. This is going to be a file that combines all three of those bits. Hi, buddy. I gotta show you to the camera. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Oh, you're sleeping. He's literally the cutest dog on earth, dude. I gotta show you some people. I gotta show you the people. I gotta show you to the people. Come here. Look at this little dog. Look at this little cutie boy. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, Waffles. Oh. All right, buddy. I gotta get some work. But I love you so much, dude. You were perfect. All right. All right. So, you guys have seen my soft side now. Okay, so run middleware. It'll run all three of these scripts, or basically middleware files that I just talked about. The X API key just for upping security, the cores header, so we can access the server from a live URL or specifically in a URL. So maybe I'll add a little note here too. Note add front end URL here. Boom, and then rate limiting. This will just limit. Um, how many times any one IP could Waffles is scratching my foot. He's so fucking cute. But it'll limit the amount of any one IP can ping any API. So that way it can't overload the system too much. Okay, so that is enough of that. And then here I can now import run middleware from middleware. I do need to install Prisma client. So I'm going to be using Prisma, zooming in a ton for y'all to see. As much as I think coding is just kind of dying a bit, at least in the sense of like, look at my code. It's more just like vibes. Like we're here to chat. You guys are here to hear what I'm talking about. Um, okay, so Prisma is just going to be a quick way to um, scaffold up some backend, resources without having to spin up a cloud bit or DynamoDB and do all this other cloudy stuff. And honestly, we could build a system that could probably withstand about 1,000 to 2,500 users with Prisma and Next.js, just like right out of the box. Like, and that is enough to get going, right? Like, and I got dogged out many times from other software engineers that I used to work with. I mean, these guys were prolific software engineers. So in their fairness, I was a bit new to the group, but um, but some of these guys, it's like they would take months just to like develop an end-to-end feature, and it's like, bro, like I get it. I hear what you're saying. Like it's got to be an enterprise system, but like if you don't even have your first couple users, like no disrespect, but who fucking cares? Like I don't care if you've got a stack of like with all the bells and whistles and this thing, and you're using Terraform to automate new deployments of nodes and servers and data. Dude, if two people use it, you do not need a Kubernetes cluster. Like you can get away with an EC2 instance, like a T2 micro. You can get away with just a free Vercel server, a Netlify server. Like you don't have to just because you can build something to the most nth degree does not mean you should build something to the most nth degree. So I think that's a very differentiating factor to actually someone who's maybe business operation versus like engineering operations, because sometimes engineers will over engineer stuff, and and although that is required at times for the things that require over engineering, oftentimes it is actually not required. So yeah, that's my 10 cents on that. But anyway, so here's my Postman. We'll need to make a new workspace because this is for Captain Share. Captain Share is going well, by the way. We are building it out very, very well. Let me see if I can add a new workspace, a new environment. So we will call it VCEL. And I need it to, let's see, collections, blank collection, VCEL, boom. We'll just use it that way. That's fine. I don't mind if it's a shared project, I suppose. at least for the time being. Okay, so long story short, I just want to build a curl request now that just tests this endpoint here. So just localhost 3000 API v1, and let's go ahead and new request. That's fine. API v1, I think just test, yeah. Let's see if we can get this thing working. Oh yeah, so I didn't explain what VCEL, the technology is going to be. I just talked about the concept. So the technology itself is really just going to be a few bits is trying to, let's see what's going on here. API v1 test. But the technology itself, long story short, is going to it should work, yeah. Um, get request, oh no. Oh, X API key, duh, duh. Okay, so we need a X API key. This was good. This was good test. I wanted to see if this would work. So, let's see, test key 123. Let's just use that as the X API key. We'll put it in the headers as X API key. See if it works or not. Unauthorized access invalid API key might be the spelling or something, or the capitalization, excuse me. No, X API key. But so the technology basically, yeah, I mean, you guys guessed it, like it'll encourage some of that behavior between relationships and between people. And I I don't really know the exact way I'm going to tackle all the problems right now, but I've thought of about three core use cases that I think I should tackle. And the three core use cases look something like this: is like how to keep relationships together longer. Like that's a problem, right? How to incentivize people to keep their like quote unquote like sexual behavior lower, right? How do you slow down the velocity of sexual behavior? So I've got an idea for that. And then how can this also be used for like protection for people? So for instance, in the States, and this is kind of a dicey thing. Like I don't even like talking about it, but like people can get wrongfully accused per se in like let's say a divorce case. Like there's like very spiteful people who will be like, oh, like my wife like raped me, or like my husband did this, and you're like, okay, so you mean to tell me you were married for 25 years and now you're calling that card? Like perhaps it happened, but there should at least be some like, if there's like history, right? So relational history is kind of one of the bits there that like people use that as a specifically there's women who've used that as a wrongful claim, and that's very dangerous to do to a society, because you're now also removing the power from the actual victims of those situations, and then you're also doing something incredibly insidious to people. And there's been very many cases like that in the world, and I'm not saying that they don't happen. Like the ones that happen, they should still be uh, obviously taken care of, and like gone through the legal process and all that stuff. But when it's something, let's say like it's a relationship they've been dating for 4 years and then they break up, and then like one person then calls it. Like I'm not saying it may not have happened, but it's at least I want to know the context. So I want to have the history of like the 4 years behind it. Of like, okay, so if it did happen, like it should probably be a lighter ruling, or at least a ruling with understanding of like, okay, this these two couples have been hooking up for years. They've been together for years. Like, like it's a bit of a gray area for sure, but there's kind of these woke agendas in the West that really do not incentivize defense for men at all in this regard. So being that I'm starting to relocate my life out of the West, it's certainly a tool that I can certainly see. Because personally, I'll never get married in the West. I refuse to do it. There's way too much, risk. Like, divorce rates are like 60%. As a man, like you're very much talked down to as a man in the West. So like, why would I stick around then? If I'm hardworking, ambitious, like a genuinely good person, right? Like, or at least try to be, right? Like, why would I stick around, right? And then not only that, like I've even been in a relationship where and this is kind of like hard to say because obviously, if you associate yourself with certain terms, like it's not a good look, even if you're in like the justified position. But I feel like I have to build something in that regard of that third case that I was talking about of like relational history because there was a woman I dated and and don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that people don't do like the grapey stuff. Like that stuff is inappropriate and never esteemable. But like I'm a 6'3" dude with a charter company and a golden retriever, and I'm physically and financially fit. Like I don't ever have to do that if you get what I'm saying. Like there's plenty of options for me, right? Like and I found myself in a relationship. This was now like 3 years ago, with this lady who was just kind of like nuts a bit, like and and I didn't realize that till the end of the relationship. And basically, how the situation went is this person had surgery like on her hip, and and I was helping her, like she was crushing around, slipping and sliding and falling down, and like and I was literally flying back from Texas to Colorado to help this person. And, like I love this person. Like even to this day, I still have so much love for this person. And you know, and obviously we hooked up a bunch and and many times, and even so much so where like there was a day where she was like grabbing on me like 3 or 4 times in the day. You know what I mean? Like it was like, yeah, we already did like 10 a.m., like 1 p.m., like in the hot tub too. And then by the time it's like dinner, I was like, dude, like I can't, like please, like no more, like dude, I'm done for, right? Like and in fast forward, me and this person, we weren't full on dating at this point, but we were like obviously pretty familiar and acquainted with each other. And I loved this person so much, and I really wanted to date her. And we are on the way to dinner with to meet my dad and his now current wife. I think at the time it was just his fiance or something. But and we're driving in this girl's car, and out of the blue, she gets this call on her screen from some other dude. And now I'm not gonna say the dude's name, but it was some other dude. And I'm sitting there like, oh, like, damn it. Like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And I didn't say nothing, but car ride got very awkward. It was just me and her in the car. We were meeting my dad and his fiance for dinner. And I'm just sitting there, and we had ourselves a ball of a day. Me and this person, we got on very well. And my dad and the stepmom, if you will, had seen that. They're like, oh my God, like you guys get on so great. Like you're wonderful people, all these things. And then this person obviously was chatting with someone else too. And she freaks out, driving her car. She's like, oh, like ignores the call, like freaks out, like makes it kind of a thing, which makes it even worse, right? Because like now like that person's definitely hiding something. And then I'm sitting there like, man, like this sucks. Like I already know the outcome of this. I already know, like, it's a weird situation. I already know that, she's in between two guys, and and it's not preferred. Like I wish I had known that. I wish there was some software or a piece of technology where I could pull up her profile and be like, "Oh, is she currently available right now? Yes or no?" Like I don't want to be a homewrecker. I don't want to be with someone who's just recently in a relationship a week ago. I don't want to be with someone who isn't prepped mentally to be fit for a relationship. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like I want to be in a clean cut situation. But if you're sleeping with me and that person, like that's a problem. That's not good behavior. And and out of this, her and I obviously had a conversation, and she's telling me, she's like, I want to be your girlfriend so bad. I want you to be my boyfriend. I'm like, no, like for sure. Like I obviously love you so much. And we literally had that conversation 15 minutes previous to that phone call. So 15 minutes before that phone call, it was like we were technically dating officially because she was like, I love you so much. I want you to be my boyfriend. I was like, I would love that. Like, you're obviously an incredible person. And she is. She's very brilliant, like very attractive, like awesome, awesome human being. Like I don't want to make character defamations about her, right? I want to make cultural defamations about the culture that she's in, right? Because it's not her that's the problem, and I want to be very, very clear about that. It's the culture because the culture is not leading our young women to a successful kind of thing. I'm not dogging her out. I actually wish very well of that person and still have a tremendous amount of love for her. Um, but so fast forward 15 minutes, that phone call happens, and I'm just like, oh man, like this sucks. Like this sucks so bad for me. And and we're chatting, and she's kind of denying it. She's like, well, it's not what you think it is. It's not this, that, the other. And I was like, are you sure though? Like, like, dude, you don't have to lie to me. Like, it's cool if it is. Like, just you need to clean it up, but like, don't lie to me now. Like I get we're early on, so like, don't, but like it's just weird. It's just like a sticky, like just not, you just like, I just don't like it. So long story short, I saw the name on her car when it popped up, and I end up like going on her Instagram and figuring out who it is, and I'm like, oh, okay, so now I know who it is. Now I know like what I'm dealing with. Now I know all these things. And me and her, we end up parking at the restaurant because, mind you, we're still on the way to my dad's dinner with his wife, and we're there, and it's the four of us, and my dad and his wife are like, "What's wrong? Like, you guys were having such a great day. We saw you this morning. We saw you at breakfast. We saw you at lunch. Like, what's going on? You guys had a ball together all day. Like, what happened?" And I was like, such and such as being an HOE, like, I just called it out. I was so angry and so hurt, and she obviously didn't like that at all. Like, that probably wasn't the appropriate thing to do, but like the mentality was correct of like, hey, I'm not about this, but like the messaging and execution was not appropriate. Um, but long story short, so she gets up, she goes to the bathroom. She's like, "No, I wasn't. Like, such and such is gay. The guy that you saw, he's actually gay. He's a gay dude. Like, you have nothing to worry about." Now, mind you, I had already seen his Instagram, so I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, he doesn't seem that way. He seems like quite a stud dude, if I'm honest. Like, good on him, right? But like, now she's telling me this whole other story. So she goes to the bathroom, she comes back, and I had done more research, and I was like, nah, buddy's a stud. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good dude. And she comes back out, and she's like, no, here he is, and shows me just a picture of two gay dudes that look nothing like Buddy. And I was like, are you sure? Because like, I'm pretty sure it's this dude. And man, just like the look on her face, or I don't exactly remember the verbatim of how it played out, but it was just like, no, that's not him. I'm pretty sure this is him. And and she knew that I got it too. And then I even reached out to Buddy to make sure. I was like, yo, are you gay or not? I just needed to know because I'm seeing this person. She said that you are, and I just want to, you know, like, I'm trying to stay in my lane, but I also like this person, so it's kind of a weird situation. Uh, but long story short, at dinner, the girl that I was, seeing or whatever, she gets up and she leaves, and she's like, I'm fucking leaving. Fuck you, Ryan. If you can't trust me, then I'm out. And I was like, all right, like, see you later. It's just this awkward, awkward dinner with my dad, and his wife. But same time, they're like, no, like, good on you. If that's what it is, like, yeah, you should be done. Like, that's not appropriate behavior. That's not cool to do. That's not how you do stuff. And then homegirl's texting me from her car, hey, come out to my car, all this stuff. I want to chat with you. And I chat with her, and she's like, well, if you don't trust me, then I'm gonna break up with you. And I was like, yeah, okay, then let's do it because I already messaged Buddy, and like, or I can't remember if I messaged him at this time or not, but it was like, it was just this dirty, like, I could just tell, like, I was like, Buddy's not gay. Like, he's a good dude. I could tell he's a stud. It is what it is. Like, if you're hooking up with him, it is what it is. You shouldn't be playing two different guys. You should be with one, right? Like, and Long story short, she leaves the restaurant. I stay. I go back inside. I hang out with my dad and his wife, and they're obviously like, yeah, that sucks, but like we're here for family dinner, so like we're still gonna have a dinner. And and I love that girl a lot, to be honest with you guys. But here was the worst part. Not only was it just like this kind of lower esteemable behavior that our culture that in the West certainly encourages, which is just terrible, right? Like, all the rap songs from like all the, white rap or female rappers, excuse me, like we've all heard them, and it's all garbage. Like it's all lower class behavior. Like it just is what it is. And and then fast forward the next day, I'm still like kind of in the middle. Like I'm still an optimist. I'm like, I hope Buddy's gay. Like I hope I was wrong about that call because that was pretty aggressive to do in front of my family. Like that was a pretty aggressive call to just be like, nope, such and such is this. I believe it firmly. And you know, and I had to fly back to Texas the next day or the day after or something. And long story short, I get back to Texas, and me and this girl are going back and forth. We're chatting still a little. And she's like, "Oh, and thanks for like telling such and such," because Buddy ends up texting me back like, "Dude, I'm not gay. Don't talk to me." Like, I was like, "Yo, like it's bro code, bro. Like you gotta come on, G." Like, so he's kind of a weak dude, number one. But number two, then the girl texts me like, "Oh, well, you texted him, so like, let me call you." And she calls me on the phone, and she's like, "Wow, I can't believe you did that." Da 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 da. And by the way, I think you also graped me. And I was like, are you fucking joking me right now? Like, not only did you break my heart, like, not only were you doing something invaluable, but now you're making it even worse. Like, how narcissistic is that? Like, how much deeper can you get, right? Like, I understand I did something that was a bit aggressive, but it wasn't. And it's a boundary. It's like, dude, like, I got standards. Like, don't, yeah, like, don't do that. So, long story short, in that situation, we're very fortunate because my family has security cameras, and all the people saw me and her together, and they saw us in the hot tub, and they saw how she was behaving with me and like grabbing on me and ordering me food and all that stuff. So there's plenty of eyewitnesses and this, that, the other of like, no, that was not their dynamic at all. And but it was just such a like weak behavior, number one. But it was such like I remember on the phone, my heart dropped like to my stomach, where I was like, oh, this is a dark territory that I'm now entering, because it's like I understand as a man in the United States, you're at a huge disadvantage if any woman even just says that, like you're done. Like even in a situation like this where I'm helping this girl, she had a hip surgery, I'm taking care of her, I'm giving her like, pills, medicine, I'm trying to order her food, she's trying to, hang out with me, I'm helping her to her car, getting her jackets, all these things, and just being a sweetheart and going to her family breakfast and like all these things and meeting her dad, meeting her dad's best friend, and all these items, and then just by the end of it getting absolutely burned, which was like sucked enough because I really loved that person. But then the other bit was like, not only was she burning me, but it was like, I'm also going to try to stab you one more time. And not only even like a weak stab, like honestly, the worst part of the two is like you might even go to jail if you want to fuck with me. And it's like, yo, like I don't want to fuck with you. I just want this to be completely done. Don't talk to me. I don't want anything from you. Like that whole nine. And it's the wildest part. That person reaches out every year. About 1 year apart, she reached out again to like hang out, come see me, I miss you type thing. And then about a year later, she recently followed me on Instagram and then unfollowed because I didn't follow her back and all that stuff. So it's like, and I still care about that person. Like we got on well. Like it was, she's a good person. But like the culture we're in, and I'm not trying to dog her out too much. And I'm definitely not disclosing names or information, but the thing I'm trying to attack is like the culture. Like, why was that the behavior? Why the first bit? Why even doing the like play two men at the same time? And maybe there was more. Why even do that? And then the second bit, when you get caught in the middle of playing, why is your bailout that you can play that card? That you feel that that's acceptable. So I have a very personal agenda to build some software like this. Just being honest with you guys, because it's like and I'm not trying to be rude and verbose about it, but it's like, dude, I'm 6'3", like I work on boats for bachelorette parties, and I've got a golden retriever. Like this is my company. Like you get what I'm saying? Like there's no, and this is me, right? Like like there's no reason for a man who's 6'3", financially fit, physically fit, with a golden retriever to ever with a boat. Like, what's cuter than a man with a boat? A man with a dog and a boat and a house. Like, like there's no reason for a man to do that when you have limitless options, right? Like I don't have Hinge anymore because I'm seeing someone currently, but like if I re-downloaded Hinge and showed you guys, like you would see just like infinite. Like, I'm not trying to be like rude and aggressive about it, but I'm just saying it as a point and a testament of like a man of this kind of position does not ever need to consider that because there's such an abundance when all of your exes are reaching out. Like I've had 3 or 4 exes reach. I had one of them show up at my dad's Christmas party. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to flex, but I'm just trying to say like there's literally if I want that, that thing, right, to get my little rocks off, like I promise you there's way easier ways to go about it than putting, my life and businesses and people around me and the people I'm paying and contracting, like all at risk. Like, my son too. So so I'm very much you know, put in this position to make VCEL kind of happen because one, it's like also what I stand like people know this about me. Like even the girlfriends I've had, they know I don't like to kind of like quote unquote cross that finish line, if you will, because it's like I know that sexual energy is very valuable. So I don't want to like waste it for no reason. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to. Now, if I'm connecting with someone, like sure, but like even nowadays, it's not even if I'm connecting with someone, it's like I want to make sure I connect with you on this front, this front, this front, this front, and then we can see. I'm sure we'll connect here too, but like let's see these 5 other things first because I've been burned this many times by women, and that was one of the like harder ones for sure. Like definitely one of the most like heartbreaking kind of betrayals I had ever felt. So I've got a very huge personal vendetta for that third use case. But the first two is just like, yeah, like how do we get the Carfax of someone's like relationship history? I think that'll slow down the velocity of dating or sexual relationships, right? And hopefully raise the quality of them. Like we want quality relationships still. We want that to still happen, but not with 90 people. Like choose your person, vet them out well, and we want those relationships to last, and we want the family backbone to be reestablished. That's numero uno. That's one of my biggest goals out of this is like how do we get those divorce rates and family destruction rates like lower? Like obviously I won't get it to zero, but like in the States, it's like 51%. For the first time in history, women and men, by the way, they always try to dog out the women sometimes, but women and men over the age of 30 are single. The overwhelming majority. Unmarried, no kids. So that's a stat that I'm trying to also kind of tackle and lower. But those are kind of the first two core use cases is like, how do we encourage voluntarily celibacy, so people are obviously using that energy for good things for society or themselves. And then the other bit, how do we lower that velocity of sexual happenings between multiple nodes in a society, if you will, or multiple people in a society, if you will. And the third bit is that personal use case. Like if I had a previous past with this person and we've hooked up a gazillion times, and then on gazillion in month time, she wants to claim that kind of thing, like if it happened, sure, get me in trouble. I still think slap me on the wrist. But first of all, it didn't happen. And second of all, if we've hooked up a gazillion times and then you got caught, one, I wish I never engaged with you to begin with, because then I now know from your Carfax, oh, this person's off the market. She's currently dating someone, Like if there was relationship software where it, like damn near required you to, and it has to be driven by the people in the software. Like people have to be like, I'm not going to date you until you're on VCEL. Like I'm not gonna date you until you're on this software. I don't care. I refuse to date you until you're on this software because that's the only way we can actually govern, who's dating who, right? So if people still want to do, all this stuff, they can just never join VCEL. But then if someone tells you, I don't want to join that dating software, the reason is likely because they're seeing five other people or because they're not of quality. Like that's going to be the merit and core use case of VCEL is like if you're of quality, you will join the software, um, and you'll also participate in like some of the practices that I'm encouraging and live by personally. Um, and then, yeah, in a situation like that, hopefully there's documentation and like, no, no, we hung out this day, we hung out this day, nope, we hooked up this day, nope, we hooked up this day, nope, nope, nope. And it's like that paints more of an honest picture. And then if God, God forbid, fortunately that girl was just like, she just let everything go and just kind of like, like apologized and then even owned up to it. By the way, I forgot to get to the summary of all that. She even called me and she was like, okay, like I have been hooking up with such and such, by the way. Like, I'm sorry. He's not gay. Like, he hooked up with me and like four other nurses. And I was like, there you go. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, I knew it. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it. I knew it. And it's cool. Like, it is what it is. I'm not even mad. Like, it's cool. Just like, wish you well and all that stuff. And it's good, right? Like, so but it was crazy to go through all that hoopla, you know what I mean? All that, and literally at a point where my heart was in my balls, like, I was terrified. And it's like, and that was the end result, was just like, I should have even known that from the beginning to just save all the time, effort, and heartache and just move on to the next thing, right? Like, so, so that's going to be, that's a bit of information for sure. But, um, yeah, but the idea is to pack it and like I said, it doesn't make me look good because it's like, dude, I understand, I've got the beard and I'm a dude in the West, so it's like you're automatically a bad dude. If any girl is ever going to, consider those things for you, but it's like it happens to anybody. Even the guy who's 6'3" with a fucking golden retriever and 4.0 GPA, it could fucking happen to him too. And when I recognize that, it's like one, I don't want to be in this fucking country anymore. Like the US is kind of washed, so I'm definitely outsourcing myself, mind you that this event happened years ago. So it's not something that like I'm like leaving the States for now. I just recently went to UAE and just realized how beautiful it is there and how they still have a society there that's like common respect and standards. Um, but yeah, so I'm very, very much yeah, just kind of disgusted by like this state's standards. Like it's not very good for women. There is no standards for there's zero accountability. There's none. Like if you're a woman and you hit a man, and I also have another story about an ex who fucking punched me. I was brushing my teeth and she fucking hit me, and I was like, yo. Like you were joking, and that's a whole other story we'll get into on the next bit. But I've got hundreds of stories with women that I'm just like, I am so underwhelmed and underimpressed with the women of the United States that I'm for sure never going to marry in the United States. Guarantee. I will marry in UAE. I will marry in Saudi. I will marry, in another country. But I will never do it in the United States because it is so god awful. It is so terrible. And like the United States treats their own men like trash. Even if you're a good, hardworking dude who provides jobs for other people, value for other people, and it's quite literally why I'm moving to UAE because UAE, if you look at this, UAE citizenships, um, first of all, it's incredibly difficult for someone to get a citizenship in UAE, but if you're exceptional at something, whether it's investing, whether it's software, whether it's you impact their society positively, you're a great doctor, you're phenomenal at something, they will actually give you a citizenship. They respect their fucking citizens who work hard and help build the country. So it's like Do I want to be over there where it's like, you're respected, you're renowned, you're taken care, as long as you're being respectful, hardworking, ambitious, and ultimately helpful for other people? Or do I want to be in the States where I'm still behaving the same way, where I'm waking up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., working hard for 5, 10 years, and then I still get dogged out by women in this thing? And it's like, where would I rather exist? Where would I rather reside? Like, is it a fucking no-brainer? You know what I mean? So it was the very first reason why I left Colorado, and it's the very next reason why I'm leaving Texas, because it's like Texas has been much more plentiful and fruitful for me for sure. Like, I'll keep a residency here for sure, but UAE is. I'm gonna go vet it out, see if it's the real deal or not. I went over there just about 2 weeks ago. It was very very lovely, but I'm fixing to go back for about three to 6 months, and yeah. But anyway, reason is for a lot of these standards and because of their values. And yeah, I'm very much in line with those things, and VCEL is representing those things as well. So along with voluntary celibacy, getting closer to God, or your version of God, get closer to someone's God, like, that's hugely important. And then yeah, trying to get the family backbone back, because if you look at divorce rates in America, uh, yeah, that right there, almost 50% of all marriages end up in a divorce. And I've gone to a few weddings this year. It's weird to think about that, like, every other one, even though it's flowers, even though it's rainbows, even though it's sunshines on the rain on their wedding day, every other one of the weddings I go to, statistically speaking, will not last. So trying to just lower that, so it's not every other wedding, but maybe like every four or something would be awesome. But yeah, yeah, guys. So that's quite a bit of information, but I think it's a good story, and yeah, hopefully can do something about the opportunity that I've been given, taking problems and making them profit. And guys, but I've got to interview. I've got to interview someone for Captain Share here in 2 minutes, so I've got to go. But thank you for listening to my story.